my friends, and welcome to Open the Armory, where we search for words that we can use as weapons in the struggles of life. Today, we are going to answer the question, what should you do first every morning? And in order to answer that, we are going to search the Bible and the writings of Christian authors. The first place I want us to look is to the book of Psalms. In the book of Psalms, chapter 55, verse 17, we read this: Evening and morning, and at noon will I pray and cry aloud, and he shall hear my voice. We notice that this evening, morning, noon prayer is something that is repeated throughout the scriptures. We are told so much as to pray without ceasing. Something I read told me that there is no character in the Bible more worthy of emulation than, apart from a perfect pattern, which is Christ, than Daniel himself. And if we look at the morning life of Daniel, we see that Daniel also prayed in the morning, even when his life was threatened. Reading in Daniel chapter 6, verse 10, we see, Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being opened in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God as he did aforetime. He recognized how critical it was to consecrate himself to God in the morning, to have this morning prayer. And beyond Daniel, we have a greater example in this regard. We see in the book of Mark chapter 1, the very example of Christ. In Mark chapter 1, verse 35, we read, And in the morning, rising up a great while before day, he went out, and departed into a solitary place, and there he prayed. Prayer is the breath of our souls. As we wake in the morning, our first thought should be of God. Our first actions should be of prayer towards Him. One of my favorite books here is called Steps to Christ. And on the 70th page, it has some powerful words saying, Consecrate yourself to God in the morning. Make this your very first work. Let your prayer be, Take me, O Lord, as wholly thine. I lay my plans at thy feet. Use me today in thy service. Abide with me, and let all my work be wrought in thee. This is a daily matter. Each morning consecrate yourself to God for that day. Surrender all your plans to Him, to be carried out or given up as His providence shall indicate. Thus, day by day, you may be giving your life into the hands of God, and thus your life will be molded more and more after the life of Christ. These are powerful words. I have remembered these words many a morning and endeavored to carry them out, to consecrate myself to God, to let Him lead me, to not be so stubborn as to be determined to do what I want to do no matter what God would say, but to make that surrender of myself. Because I know that whether it be the place where I live or the things that I do, that I am happiest where God wants me to be in life, in my location, but I'm also happiest when I do the things that God would have me to do. That will not mean that I will not suffer, and that it will not be difficult or whatever it is. But I know that were I to look back when all this is over, I would not have wanted it any other way. Because God in His infinite wisdom can see the end from the beginning, and He knows what it takes to take us to that desired end. we are told that He knows the thoughts, that we know the thoughts that He has towards us, thoughts of peace, thoughts of goodness, thoughts of love, and not of evil. My appeal to you today is to do this first every morning, to consecrate yourself to God and be at peace, knowing that He will lead you and guide you. Shalom.